Hello, this is Lucretia with the Calm and Confident You podcast. Recently, I've been feeling kind of down and sad. It's because I keep having big business projects and then add on the need to do tax preparation. I was missing spending time doing anything for fun or creativity. My time has been filled with things that have pressure and deadlines and problems to solve. Self-care has been at the bottom of the list. Like a garden that's been neglected and become so overgrown with weeds that the flowers can't come through, my life turned into months of all work and no play. Then one day my employer sent my coworker and myself to the local high school to have a table of goodies for Mental Health Awareness Week. I was doubtful about what materials they would have for us to offer. And at home, I had about 31-inch size lavender soaps that I had made into rose shapes. I'd done this over a year ago. So I brought them along and spread them out on the table and told the teens that lavender helps with calming and relaxation. We made a makeshift sign saying lavender, and then I posted a picture of us on Facebook. Well, another one of our coworkers saw that photo and commented that she needs some lavender soap. And I replied that I could help her out with that. That doesn't make sense with how busy I was, but that's what I did. So she ended up ordering 6 bars of soap from me, which I now needed to make. That was actually just what I needed to pull me out of my drudgery. I cleaned up my kitchen, I pulled out all of my soap making supplies. I got online and looked up the amount of essential oil I wanted to add to the amount of soap I would be cooking up. I pulled out my powdered colors and decided how much I would use. I put new batteries into the thermometer that I use to check how warm my melted soap is getting. I pulled out my double boiler and I got to cooking. I was already smiling and feeling lighter. All of my senses became engaged. I watched the surface of the soap and kept it stirred until smooth. I felt the warmth rising up from it. I waited for the right consistency, which I knew when I felt it. Then I added the color and watched it swirl into the white melted soap, and it is so pretty when it does that. Last, I added the lavender essential oil and enjoyed the wonderful smell. I quickly and carefully poured that mixture into molds because it starts to set up very quickly. It was so satisfying, and my kitchen smelled of lavender into the next day. I have had my nose to the grindstone so much that I haven't spent time with friends either. I have a tendency to keep to myself anyway, so it's easy to get focused on practical business and then find, as I've said, that I'm not having any fun. Well, luckily I had a gathering with a women's networking group scheduled, and I pulled myself away from the drudgery to go to that. And as you might expect, once there I had a very good time. One of the women took us through a 30-minute session of restorative yoga. Now, I've tried yoga here and there over the years, but I've never really enjoyed it or stuck with it. In fact, a couple of times I got injured doing it. Once I lost my balance and strained my back, which hurt for weeks. And here's the thing, research keeps showing that yoga is good for all kinds of ailments like stress management, digestion, chronic pain, and mood issues. So I wished I liked it, but I'd never really stuck with it. On this day, with this women's gathering, I was experiencing such pain in my neck that I couldn't really turn my head to the side. It was painful while driving. And it had been like this for several days, no matter what I tried to do about it. And I had been trying to do something about it. I was a little nervous about doing the yoga session, and I set up at the back of the group in case I decided to stop. Well, it turns out that in restorative yoga, in every position, the body is completely supported so that a stretch can be maintained for a longer amount of time, and the body can just sink into it. One position we did near the end was the heart pose. In that one, you lie back on a bolster such that your shoulders fall back and your chest and clavicle areas open up and get stretched. Turns out that did the trick for my painful neck. I left that day with total relief. I was amazed. I was so thrilled that I purchased some yoga props for myself and started doing my own routine every evening as a wind down before bed. It felt so good. But it turns out that even with restorative yoga, you can have too much of a good thing. I hadn't factored in that my body wasn't used to that kind of deep stretching for lengths of time. I ended up with a few surprise pains in my low back and hip, but I just backed off for a few days and then started doing a session every other evening and reduced the time I held a pose. So remember, the body always needs time to adjust. Since then, I've had another bout of neck pain, which I was able to quickly cure with my restorative yoga practice. And as often happens with me, pain motivates me to do self-care, which then also happens to have other benefits such as reduced stress and better sleep. Who would have guessed? So you see, even though I teach this stuff about self-care and personal growth, I still need to have it proven to me over and over, and I still am constantly learning and growing. Now spring is here and we've been getting some mild weather days and some sun here and there. I've been getting outside in my yard. I keep checking the buds that are forming on my lilac bush, and I've been going outside for some walks. This always brings some moments of joy into my life. So my sadness and sense of drudgery has lifted, even though my work intensity has increased over the past 2 weeks. That's at work and in my evening private practice and my online stuff. I'm all doing more, actually, lately. I still have plenty of things I need to do on my to-do list, and my house looks like a whirlwind went through it, tossing clothing and bags and mail and any number of items that were used for a moment and then set down and not put away. So I will stop talking and get back to it while I'm in much better spirits. Please follow this Calm and Confident You podcast on your favorite streaming service and check out the growingemotionalstrength.com website. And until next time, be well.